What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so here's the situation we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have a big update on potential tropical cyclone 1 that has developed as I was posting the video yesterday. We have a new area of interest tagged in the same area of the Gulf of Mexico that could be a big threat to Texas and Louisiana, and we are also paying attention to some future development that could be organizing and developing as we continue to get deeper into this hurricane season. So let's go ahead and dive right into all of this right here and right now. Here's the latest we have on potential tropical cyclone 1. We have a public advisory issued. What the NHC does is they designate certain things potential tropical cyclones to allow for tropical storm watches and warnings to be issued right here and there. We have current tropical storm warnings in effect from Port O'Connor to the U.S.-Mexico border, and we also have a tropical storm warning in effect for the northeast coast of Mexico from the Rio Grande to the Puerto de Altamira right there. If I completely butchered that name, I apologize for that. I don't speak Spanish very much. Anyway, this is the cone that we have pulled up for you right here. This is expected to remain, according to the NHC, a moderately strong tropical storm as it's making landfall, although I would not be surprised if we see some hurricane force gusts in this whole thing right here and there, just because of how unpredictable these systems can get right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the public advisory. We'll go ahead and take a look at the discussion right afterward, just to kind of see what the thinking is right here and right now. At 1 p.m., the disturbance was located near the center, the latitude 22 degrees north, longitude 92.6 west. The system is moving to the north-northeast at 6 miles per hour. A turn to the northwest with an increase to forward speed is expected tonight and Wednesday, and the system is forecast to reach the Gulf Coast by Wednesday night. Remember, what we had before was the system was actually originally further south, but the center began relocating, and now we're about a day ahead of schedule at this current point in time. This is expected to make landfall in the late hours of tomorrow now instead of Thursday. Maximum sustained winds remain 40 miles per hour. Some increase of strength is likely in the next 36 hours, and the disturbance is forecast to be a tropical storm by Wednesday. Still an 80% chance of development in the next 48 hours and 7 days. The disturbance is quite large. Tropical storm force winds extend out 415 miles from the center. So that's why the tropical storm warning is so extensive right there. Minimum central pressure is still 999 millibars. We'll have to pay close attention to that. Tonight's essentially going to make or break this system right there. Because what's going to end up happening is it's going to basically determine where it's going to go from then on out. Because there is still a bit of infighting with the system. It's going to depend on if either A, the system relocates further to the south, according to what I've seen from some of the Hurricane Hunter reconnaissance and some of the observations I am seeing on satellite, or B, it remains further to the north. It allows for a tighter pressure gradient and allows for the tropical storm to organize and form as it approaches the Mexico coast. Regardless, much of Texas is going to still see a lot of flooding from this, and the NHC is highlighting this very essentially right here. This is the main threat they are pointing out. Potential tropical cyclone 1 is expected to produce rainfall totals of 5 to 10 inches across northeast Mexico to South Texas, with a maximum totals of 15 inches possible. This rainfall will likely produce flash and urban flooding, along with new and renewed urban river flooding. Mudslides are also possible in the higher terrain. Right there and there. Storm surge. They actually have a graphic out for storm surge right here. We can go ahead and pull that up for you right here. This is the peak surge that we have right here. We are expecting 2 to 4 feet of storm surge in the Houston area, Galveston Bay from Sargent to Sabine Pass, 1 to 3 feet in southwest Louisiana over here, and 1 to 3 feet from Sargent all the way to the mouth of the Rio Grande right there. But yeah, this is generally something you need to pay attention to. Overall, I'm not too worried about the storm surge in like Galveston and those areas, because again, Galveston has a seawall. We did a documentary on why, so I suggest you check that out. But yeah, I would be a little concerned about coastal flooding for parts of the Bolivar Peninsula, parts of the Houston area, the bayou over there. I would pay very close attention to that. And as for, and I would also pay attention to like the barrier islands off of Texas and Mexico for flash flooding, especially when it comes to rain and storm surge and all that. That's going to be a very serious situation to pay attention to as we continue to drive and give you this data right here. Here's the rainfall potential right here. Yeah, rainfall is looking really large across much of South Texas, parts of northeastern Mexico over here. Corpus Christi looks like it's going to get the lion's share of about 8 to 12 inches of rain, so it's going to be a very crazy situation. Houston is expected to see possibly up to 2 inches of rain as well. San Antonio is going to get 2 to 4 inches. Laredo is going to get 4 to 6. So it's going to overall be a very serious situation. And I do believe that that flooding is going to be the main threat with this, unless we see unless we see like a rapid intensification phase, which personally I do not think is going to happen as much as I was thinking yesterday. So in Mexico, we're looking at 10 plus inches of rain locally, so we're going to have to pay attention to all of this right here and right there. The flooding potential right here. There is a moderate risk of flooding for today and tomorrow across much of southeast Texas. So we need to pay very close attention. Remember, turn around, do not drown, and I'll keep you updated on all the information we have on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. So with that being said, let's go ahead and kind of look at the conditions that this is into and see if this is going to develop tonight or not. And we're going to see, just kind of give you a forecast of pretty much what I am looking at this current point in time. Let's go ahead and start with the global sea temperatures. Still well over 30 plus degrees Celsius across a lot of these areas right there. It's going to be in some of the warmest water that June has to offer, and that has not changed at all. OHC has not changed very much at all. We're seeing areas of 75 to 100 OHC across a lot of these regions right there. So still stuff to pay attention to. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye out for that data as we get that. Wind shear is going to be interesting. It's helping enhance the outflow right there. This very large system right there. There's a pocket of low wind shear that the center is under and everything like that. But the wind shear is kind of starting to wrap around it, which is pretty interesting. It's not going to really inhibit that development that much. It's more so just the amount of infighting that's going on across the area. We had a low pressure system to the south, then we had another low develop. There's just to the north. It's just a bit of infighting. We're going to determine and to see how this whole thing goes. So this is going to be kind of a make or break next 12 hours right here. If nothing happens and this still is a PTC at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to strengthen that much, and I think the main threat's going to be flooding. But if, let's say, by 7 o'clock tonight, we start to see more organization as the Dmax starts to ramp up, and as we get into nighttime, which is when convection really starts to ramp up in the tropics, that'll be something to pay attention to, and this could be a situation where it could possibly intensify as that pressure gradient is starting to tighten up thanks to that shift to the north. So we're going to have to pay attention to all of that right there. Here's the current storm information right there that we can go ahead and show you. Let's go ahead and show you the track models and the intensity. Track models have this thing making landfall in the next 24 to 36 hours, maybe 48 hours if we're being going to be a bit more liberal when it comes to that. Right there, but overall this is expected to move through Mexico right there, come out the other side into the eastern Pacific, not really doing very much. Ultimately, it's going to peak right about here across a lot of these areas. Intensity models overall have been on a bit of a downtrend. We're looking at maybe at max 50 miles per hour at this current point in time. I still think there's a chance that something could happen, but we'll have to pay attention to all of that right there. But this isn't the only threat I am paying attention to right here. This is just PTC 1, ladies and gentlemen. We also have 2 areas of interest that we need to pay attention to as well. Let's go ahead and go back and show you what I'm talking about. Here's the 7-day forecast. We have this area of interest right there and this new area of interest right here in the Gulf of Mexico that we need to pay attention to because Texas, Louisiana, you guys could be at risk for this right here. So let's go ahead and start with the AOY out that could impact Florida. A area of showers and thunderstorms located east of the Bahamas is associated with a surface trough. Environmental conditions are marginally conducive. System is forecast to approach the coast of the southeastern United States on Friday. 10% chance of formation in the next 48 hours, 20 in the next 7 days. Still have to pay attention to it, but the chance of it organizing and developing is low as of right now. But this one right there has some potential, and have people been telling me, hey, Patrick, you got to pay attention to this right here. You got to pay attention to this right here. We could see something organizing and developing, and model after model after model has been corroborating this, and I didn't take it too seriously, mainly because I wasn't 100% sure, but now that the NHC has tagged it, well, we got to pay attention to this. Another broad area of low pressure is forecast to develop over the southwestern Gulf of Mexico this weekend. Environmental conditions are expected to be conducive for gradual development as it moves slowly northward or northwestward. Formation chance is 20% in the next 7 days, so this is definitely something we're going to need to pay very close attention to. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and show you the shear forecast when it comes to this, because I want to see if there's going to be good conditions to allow for this thing to organize and develop as it approaches the United States coast. So let's go ahead and pull up the 200 to 850 millibar shear right there, and we're going to go ahead and start basically with this area of interest, PTC 1 right there, and then we'll go from there at that point. So here's what we have going on. The low shear is going to persist as this thing makes landfall in Mexico right there, bringing a lot of heavy rain to parts of Texas over here. And then starting around the weekend, as we start to get into that, this is what we're seeing. This is June 21st right there, about 2.5 days out. And we start to see lower wind shear values according to the European. And then we see the system start to organize and develop right there and potentially make landfall in Texas right there, according to the European. What's the wind shear going to do? It's going to weaken once again and allow for organization and development at this in development, and possibly this one could actually get the job done, depending on how much infighting there is. This is going to be a smaller system according to what I've seen from some models right there, but Texas, Louisiana, you have to watch out for this. Let's see how the moisture persists, because right now the Gulf of Mexico is very moist, and that's going to persist as the system makes landfall. Let's see what happens when the next organized storm starts to approach. Yeah, another moisture surge impacts much of the Gulf of Mexico right here and really gives it some better conditions for it to organize and develop right there. Honestly, these could be even better conditions than what we are seeing with PTC 1 right there. So if you're in Texas, Louisiana, even Mississippi even, you guys need to pay attention, because this could be another huge rainmaker, and this could add insult to injury, especially in areas in South Texas if it pushes that far to the west. So again, something to pay very close attention to. I would say in the next 2 to 3 days, we'll have more information and more data out for you guys, just to kind of give you a better picture of what we're potentially looking at going forward right here and right there. Now let's go ahead and get to the main meat of this. What do I think this PTC-1 is going to do? Well, this is what I think it's going to do.
Oh, no. You see, it was just a goof. It was just for laughs, why aren't you laughing?
Ha 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 ha, I got you, didn't I? But in all seriousness, let's go ahead and dive right into the computer models, and I'll give you a more realistic forecast than what Penguin Zero was kind of suggesting right there and there. Yeah, it was just a joke. It was just a goof. Anyway, let's go ahead and get going right here. So let's go ahead and start with the H-Dwarf right here. Typically one of the most aggressive models out there. We're going to have to pay attention to this. H-Dwarf has PTC-1 starting to organize and get its act together. Makes landfalls around 1,000 millibar system, around 999, as it doesn't organize until it gets near the coast of Mexico and South Texas right there. And it kind of makes landfall. It looks like it's going to be a tropical storm, winds of 50 miles per hour or so. I still think hurricane impacts could be possible. That is, if the storm gets its act together by tonight and it starts to organize and intensify from then and there. It's working with a tighter pressure gradient now. All it needs to do is stop the infighting, have a closed low, and it's good to go for intensification, and it'll have plenty of time to do so before it makes landfall in Mexico. So that's the H-Dwarf model right there. Let's go ahead and show you the H-Mon. The H-Mon's been pretty interesting, typically one of the more aggressive models. The H-Mon wants this at 992 millibars as it makes landfall. Based off of what I'm seeing right here, let's go ahead and I want to see what the main sea level pressure wind looks like. It is a little kind of like stretched out there and everything like that, but this thing wants it to be around a 60 to 65 mile per hour tropical storm as it's making landfall, which I think is pretty interesting. We'll have to pay attention to that as we get more data. The H-Mon's kind of banking on this thing organizing sooner rather than later. Halves A model, let's go ahead and start with that. Halves A is kind of a bit wonky right here, having it organize, develop, make landfalls in 994 millibar system right there. Pressure gradient definitely starts getting tighter as we continue to take a look at this. And yeah, this looks like it could be one of those 60 mile per hour tropical storms that we've been paying attention to right there. We'll keep an eye on it for you guys as well. Regardless, heavy rainfall is going to be the greatest threat, like I've been saying. Halves B, let's go ahead and show you the Halves B right here. Halves B is pretty interesting. over here, this is what we have. Organizing and developing strengthens, gets down to about 995 millibars, makes landfall as a strong tropical storm, produces a lot of rainfall for South Texas and the mountainous regions of Mexico. Expected to dissipate over there as the vorticity just starts to decrease at a very dramatic rate. So overall, that's what I'm paying attention to. Now let's go ahead and move on to the Gulf of Mexico and kind of pay attention to what this new area of interest in the Gulf is going to be doing. So let's go ahead and do that right here and right now. This is going to be at least 5 days out that we start taking a look at this. This is what the European is forecasting. Low pressure system to organize and develop, makes landfall around South Texas, the Texas-Mexico border over there, produces even more rainfall than what we were expecting earlier right there. So we'll have to pay attention to that right here and right there. Let's go ahead and show you the GFS right now. Here's the GFS that we have pulled up for you right here. The GFS has this thing organizing and developing, at least with PTC 1. And then this area of interest right there, the GFS wants this thing to move more to the west and make landfall near Veracruz as a weak tropical system right there. Personally, I'm not 100% sure how that's going to happen. How it's going to happen. We'll have to pay close attention to that regardless, because we could see a cycle of repeat rain and repeat flooding and all that. We absolutely do not want to see that right here and right now. Let's go ahead and show you the CMC model next. Here's the CMC that we have for you pulled up right there for this tropical system. Has it organizing and developing off the Mexico coast, makes landfall in Mexico. Typically what we're seeing is these landfalls closer to Texas or Mexico, but because the system is going to be large enough, parts of Louisiana could get impacted by this. So that's what we have going on with the CMC. Let's go ahead and show you the NavGem right here. NavGem has this thing organizing and developing off the Gyre right there, making landfall near the U.S.-Mexico border. NavGem, interestingly, though, wants another organized system to develop near off the Gyre as well, and then enter the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not sure how much to buy that, and we'll have to take a closer look at that as we continue to get more data and as we continue to get more models in and everything like that. Last model we're going to go ahead and show you is the Icon right here. This is what we have going on for the Icon. We have this thing organizing and developing, making landfall in Mexico, close to Texas right there, causing a ton of repeat flooding and everything like that. So this is all stuff we are going to have to pay very, very close attention to as we continue to get more information out for you guys. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and close the video out right here. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, we are trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by July 17th. That is my 21st birthday. So if you guys could please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, I would really appreciate that. I really want to continue doing this stuff right there. I've been doing it for the last 3 years, and I really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving to me so far. It also helps me out, and it helps me get more people engaged with weather, and it also helps me make more videos like these for you guys. And if you want to come hang out with us and kind of see the fun that is going on in our Discord server at Storms United, be sure to join it. The link to that is right over there. And with that being said, folks, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.